Hello, welcome to Carrington. Another glorious day here in the northwest of Manchester, and we are about to watch the team train. Johnny Evans there giving a wave over to his former teammates, Wes and Shady, and Tom Heaton as well.
When you say it like that, Sully, don't make me feel that old.
Exactly, yeah.
Former teammates, I'm thinking, yeah.
Peter Pan, Evans.
There you go, exactly. So, yeah, we're seeing them all come out. First impression, of course, looking at the group.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, but I can't
Lots of youngsters.
see Lenny.
No, I don't think you will, so.
No, you don't.
I think it'll be a little ace if he is going to be fit. Let's keep it a secret as long as possible.
Yeah,
that'll be the case, won't it? Because you don't need to give any advantage.
It's still got time.
Played under, by the way, can't you?
Do you know what though? But we had this situation with Vidic in 08. In 08, me and Rio played centre back. The two semi-finals, and then Vidic come in and absolutely man-marked Drogba out the game. Yeah. You know, wasn't fully fit, but I mean, if you ever watched that game, eventually got Drogba sent off as well. Yeah, but he was knackered after that, and believe me, he will say I wasn't 100% fit, but I got myself ready for that one particular game. He's probably not played for 3 or 4 weeks before that.
It's a good little play that, though, John, isn't it? I mean, I've sort of witnessed that with Sir Alex Ferguson over the years. I remember Wayne Rooney not being fit for a quarter-final against Bayern Munich, and all of a sudden the team sheet drops and Rooney's there, and it's like, I thought he was out for the season. What's going on here? I mean, for an opposition to see that at the very last moment can really throw a spanner in the works.
Without a doubt, because listen, you might have a tight call to make on someone in your starting 11, and you're thinking, right, he's going to be up against someone, whoever it might be, right, he's better suited to him, and next thing you realise, he's gone. He's back fit. I thought he was done. I thought he was out of it. So, as best you can, keep the secret. Listen, fingers crossed he is fit, because he's been showing much better form towards the end of the season, and that was only natural too. Coming back from the injury he had, he looked so good in that initial couple of games. Then got that early injury, then obviously built himself up again. And that second leg, the second half in particular against Bilbao, he just grew an extra couple of inches almost in stature, and his performance, he just was stepping in, creating passes, creating attacks. It was just brilliant to see. So fingers crossed he is. But listen, if he isn't, we have enough good players there to make a difference and get in that starting 11.
Do you think it's Luke Shaw who plays on the left side if Lenny isn't available?
I honestly do, and I'm so glad he's been back for 3 or 4 weeks now, Luke. So it's not like it's his first game. You know, he's come on a sub a few times. He started a couple. So, you know, he's got the mentality to handle that, Luke. You know, he's played in big finals, in obviously England as well, and he'll be fine with that. For Luke, it was just about getting the games in and trying to get a nice run of play. And then obviously, I also think with the last game Mason played in as well, you know, the manager says it, he really likes it. You know, he plays well. It's not necessarily quite happened for him on the pitch. Well, I thought the last game it did. He could, as soon as a few things happened for him, the confidence just came out, and you know, he wasn't thinking about it.
And not only that, you have that experience that he has in European finals. He's been there, he's done it.
Scored a winner in a Champions League final for a start.
So already you've got the manager Rubens there thinking, right, I've got this guy with that experience. Do I need to start him? Can I bring him on? Not only that, you've obviously experienced with Christian Eriksen, big games he's played in. You know, it's. And I'm sure he'd like to come on and score a goal against Spurs as well. So,
do you know, we've got a lot of players that are playing well. The problem is we're doing silly things in games, and then we panic a little bit. Yeah. You know, we've not really learnt to. Okay, I've made a mistake. Let's forget about that.
Like reset almost.
Yeah, but you've got to forget about it within 10 seconds. Just forget about it. You know, it can happen. It's football. But we don't. We sort of do a mistake after mistake, and then we have this bad spell of maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then it needs somebody to get it going again. And then all of a sudden you can sort of half say, especially recently, that's the best we've played all season in that 20-minute spell. But why can't we do it from the beginning? That's the problem. But it's just getting up for the final to be more positive and think like that.
Well, you like to think that the Europa League brings a freshness to them, and you don't want it to feel like a Premier League match in some ways, because the Premier League has been so poor for United this season. You want to think that going out to Bilbao, even though you are facing an English side, John, that there can be a different feeling for the players going into that match because it's the Europa League, and that has brought the best out in United. The record's amazing. Of all the teams who started the season in European competition, there's about 100 of them in the Conference League, the Europa League and the Champions League. There's one unbeaten, and that needs to continue.
Listen, without it, and that's what you have to tell the players. They'll know that already, but you're just re-emphasising it for them. Listen, we've been a different team in the Europa League this year, and it's got to continue. And yeah, as you said, it's a familiar face in terms of Tottenham, but they've got to take that confidence. It's almost like as if they've had a different, I want to say, different face on in Europe, isn't it? That they've been able to. They've almost had a little trend of starting a little bit sluggish in games, almost giving teams a bit of a chance, and then going bang, flicking the switch. Second half in particular, been really strong, really cutthroat, and scored plenty of goals. So maybe I'd just say don't start as sluggish in the final, maybe, but if they're finishing like they have been in terms of the second half performances, it's been very impressive.
But on the mentality of that, it's been brilliant in Europe. Absolutely, for whatever reason. They've been down, they've got back up, they've run harder, they've worked harder, they've got themselves back in the game. They've not only got themselves back in the game, they've then gone on to win it. And you're just like, that's what you need to remember in this game. You know, how much you put into it, how hard it was to sort of get yourselves here. Because it's not been an easy run. You know, I know we're unbeaten, but it's been difficult. And somewhere they've managed to dig deep and get it done.
The manager, Ian, has just been meeting with some of our fans from MUFC, the Manchester United Disabled Support Association, an organisation pioneering in what it does. And just part of the feel of this today is it's a bit more open, well, it's very open with all the press here, but it's just nice for a small group of fans to come in and see what they're doing as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the golden ticket for a supporter to be stood here at the side of the training pitch watching the first team prepare for a Europa League final. And that's lovely that Ruben's done that as well. I mean, he is a great character, isn't he? You know, you can say what you like about the results in the Premier League, but there is something to get behind there. You hear the Manchester United supporters every single game chanting his name almost repeatedly, with the hope that he can turn things around next season, and the difference that a Europa League win would make to that. You talked before about being in the Champions League, the pull that would bring for new players, the extra budget that would bring as well, but also for the sense of momentum and the sense of moving forward for Ruben Amorim. It'd be so important. I mean, nothing underlines the work that you're doing more than winning trophies, and if they can salvage out of this season a piece of silverware, that obviously then opens the door for progress next season, and the difference that would make to everyone, because he's not had a pre-season yet. He spoke very openly. In his mind, he didn't want to even be at Manchester United until this summer coming. He didn't want to join straight away from Sporting because he felt that that was the right thing to do. So if they can get through this season, you hope that the players are much stronger for the experience, good and bad, throughout this campaign, and that the Europa League win can really fire things forward.
Just been looking at Ahmad and Garnacho, Wes. Is it a case of either or in the starting lineup over in Bilbao, or could they both start?
I think you could see them both start, and that would be, you know, tough on a couple of other players, but I just feel like Ahmad, obviously, beginning of the season, he was exceptional. I think he was a massive part of our attacking play, you know, and what he brought to the team, the threat he brought to the team. And obviously Garnacho has been brilliant. He's played the whole way through, you know, rarely had an injury. But with him coming back now and maybe getting a game or two under his belt, I still see that as soon as he gets the ball, that presence he has, you know, defenders dropping off, they don't want to dive in. They end up diving in, he's getting past him, and he's already, you know, assisting people. And I would reckon the manager will have to look at that very, very deeply and think, well, he's possibly our biggest threat. And that's honestly the truth.
Do you think it's either or, Shady, or
Yeah,
will they? Well, I know they could both start. Do you think they will?
I don't think so. I think it will be either or.
Because he wants one to impact the game off the bench.
I think so. And listen, he could try fit him in, and it could be a little tweak of the system, whether it's just, I suppose Bruno might be dropping back a little bit deeper then, but or they could have Ahmed floating as a false nine, maybe. You know, they could have different ideas, and that's Ahmed's become so quickly such a key player for the team. It's incredible. And it's great to see, because listen, it's almost when he came on against Bilbao as well, it's like as if the team went, right, give him the ball, get it out to him as quick as you can. And that's what you need. You want players, that intensity that he attacks with, defenders backing off. He creates space for others. In particular, on that evening, it was Mason Mount took advantage. So fingers crossed. It's one of the nicer problems for the manager to have in the build up to a final.
And you have to remember, Ahmed can also drop as well and play that other position. I mean, it would be very unlucky for then somebody else.
Yeah.
For the likes of maybe Mazraoui or somebody who's, for me, has been the top 3 best players for us consistently.
Euro's not fit, Mazraoui will have to play right centre.
And there you go. So then it all might work out. But then I just feel you do miss a little bit of that threat.
Listen,
from Ahmed if he was there.
Yeah, you could have potentially Richarlison has been kind of high on the left for Tottenham. So that's one of their bigger threats. He's slowly been getting a bit more form, but
so you'd have to be careful.
It's that balance. Yeah,
you'd have to be careful. And if I'm being honest, Ahmed come off the bench of the night and did exactly what I expected him to do. So the manager will also have that in his mind, how big of a threat he will be off the bench, fresh legs.
Andre Onana got a rest at the weekend, completely out the squad to reset and get ready for the next games ahead. Good decision?
I don't know. I think what it has done, it's allowed us to see a little bit more of Altay Bayındır, which has been a good thing, because we've barely seen anything of him since he's been a Manchester United player. So at least that's given a bit of insight to the coaching staff about how he reacts as the number 2, because obviously if Andre picks up an injury at any point now or in the future, then your number 2 comes straight in. So I think it's been helpful to see what he's been like, and for the players to get a few more minutes playing with him as well. Obviously then they'll take a view what happens moving forward. For Andre, it's been an up and down season. It's been a better season than last year, but obviously there was all the high profile, I don't even want to call it a war of words, because I think what Andre said was blown up massively, and then put to Nemanja Matic ahead of that game against Lyon. I'm not sure he intended it to be taken in the way that it was taken. I mean, he's amazing. He speaks sort of 5 or 6 different languages, and I'm sure English is not at the top of that list, you know. So we have to be careful, I think, sometimes making so much about one word, and that's all it really was in his interview. But yeah, there was a lot around that. Then the errors in the game obviously compounded it. Ruben Amorim took the decision at Newcastle to do what he did in the last game as well, which was to give him the rest completely. So the proof's in the pudding. If he has a great game in the final, it'll be the right thing to do. Just listening to the lads speak there about Amad and Garnacho, I mean, Garnacho's amazing. Yeah, he gets a lot of stick, but he's still a kid. You know, he's not even 21 yet. He's been available, I think, now for the last 101 matches in a row for Manchester United in terms of his fitness. He's missed one game in that run where he's not featured at all, and that was the Manchester derby win at City when Amorim left him out for disciplinary reasons. So other than that, he's always there, he's always a threat, he's always full of running. For me, he absolutely has to start the final. And with Amad, I understand, you know, the point about defensively, whether he can be trusted, having not played the role that much of late through injury and also selection. And he just looks so good in the number 10 position when he came off the bench in that second leg.
Hard to see him at right wing back, Amad, wouldn't it? You feel like you lose so much.
He can do it. I mean, I remember the Everton game earlier on this season at Old Trafford. Was it a 4-0 win in December, I think it was? And he was amazing at right wing back. He either caused or set up, I think, all the goals that United scored in the first half, and really set the tone for the team as well. And he's like a breath of fresh air. When he came off the bench the other night, you could feel the entire home crowd at Old Trafford sort of sit up in the seats and get excited. United have always had players like that. So in those two lads, there is something to hold on to, undoubtedly. And John's the second person in the last couple of days I've heard mention the idea of someone maybe playing a false 9 role in this final. It worked so well for Erik ten Hag in the FA Cup final against City last season, and you wonder whether Amorim's got something like that up his sleeve as well, possibly.
Would that work in this system, Shady, do you think, with 2 floating 10s and a false 9? It's quite a few bodies around.
Yeah, listen, it can do because of the flexibility of the players. If you mention, just say, for example, Ahmed, Bruno and Garnacho, those 3 could be the floating 3.
Yeah,
and then good players. There's enough pace threatening behind that. If it is Tottenham's high line, with obviously Ahmed and Garnacho, the passes that Bruno can find. But I just feel for the physicality side of things as well, I think Rasmus will get the nod. I just think, and as well as that, like I mentioned, he will cause Tottenham problems because a big threat in behind. And that's where, in fairness to Casemiro, he can find those passes and he looks for them a lot. First time round the corner, spinning behind, and if Tottenham are leaving that space for him, he'll hopefully exploit it.
Just looking at small group, including Mazraoui, Casemiro and Bruno. Chat about three of them, but particularly Bruno, where we said it could be false nine, could be one of the 10s, could be in centre midfield. One thing's for sure, he is starting. He is our best player, probably by a distance.
Yeah.
A world-class player in this squad, and someone we've relied on so often. You run out of superlatives talking about him. He is that good.
He is, and listen, he's the captain as well. And wherever the manager will want to play him, he will do that job. It's as simple as that. I reckon he does have a preferred position, but again, you know, he will do anything that the team needs him to do. But been unstoppable this season, and like we said, a lot of people give him a lot of stick, but he's a guy that, you know, if you look at what Manchester United are at the moment, he's that guy. He's the guy that will run all day for you, commit himself, try and score, try and assist, you know, run back, tackle. He's that guy who does everything, and that's why he's the captain. But again, him himself has had a great season. Not the team, he's had a great season.
Yeah.
He's tried his hardest, and you know, I'm sure at the end of the season, regardless what happens, you know, he can look back and say, I didn't really regret how I performed. I couldn't have performed any better. I tried my hardest. And sometimes when you look back at things, that's what happens. And Bruno he does that. He'll be able to do that most seasons anyway. But yeah, definitely, Bruno will be the main guy. And, you know, if it's a bit stale in the game, who do we look for to make something happen? It's Bruno.
Yeah, I mean, considering our league position, I mean, he's the only player made the Premier League team of the season for Manchester United, and given where we are, that just goes to show how good he is, that he can achieve that status despite being in a team which is 16th in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's been remarkable this season. When everyone else around you is failing, he's been the one to step up and take control of things, score the goals, make the assists, change the game. But he's also, as well, you speak to people around the team, he's also a good figurehead for this side as well. The types of things that he does away from the pitch, the work that he does with supporters, the work that he does amongst the group to keep people together and to look after people. He is a true captain now, Bruno. He's been the captain on the field for a while because he's been the standout player. There's lots of different types of captains. There's the ones who lead by example like he does. There's the ones who'll shout and cajole and organise. There's the ones who just say nothing and play brilliantly and everyone follows. So for him, he's grown into being the Manchester United captain. He is undoubtedly the best player, but like I say, he's a very, very important character and person for the club now as well. And he's someone that the head coach clearly trusts implicitly. So yeah, you're right. He definitely has to play no matter where it is. But they have to find the best position for him as well. They have to find a way to get him settled in what the best role is for Bruno Fernandes. And
Play your best player in the best position, build from that.
yeah, and I think that's maybe something for them to look at over the summer to get him settled in a position. I'm not sure, if I'm brutally honest, how much it's helping, not so much Bruno, but some of the players playing in slightly adapted roles match to match. You look at Lenny Yoro, who's played on the right side of defence, the left side of defence. He played in the centre against West Ham at the weekend. I don't know if that's helping him. I don't know if it's helping some of them.
That's easy. Anyone can do that.
Yeah, okay. You've done it.
I'm joking.
You've done it. But you know, when there's... Well, I'll ask you then, yeah. When there are specifics in the system like he's asking, and it's so different to what a lot of the players have played through their career as well, how easy is it to go from being on the left to on the right, to being a wing-back, to being a centre-half?
No, listen, you hit the nail on the head. The system is the key part to it. We were basically, in a sense, a 4-4-1-1 or a 4-3-3, whatever it might have been at times. With Ruben's system there, it's that 3-4-3, and you need to have that left-sided on certain areas just to keep the balance of the team, how they step forward, how they attack. So that's why it's very different. But
he's not going to change now. He's been pretty clear on that, hasn't he? So these players have to adapt to that.
Listen, there can be different flexibility in the sense of that midfield, whether it's going to be just one sitting rather than maybe two sitting, and that's where we're talking about Bruno. Bruno is it going to be Casemiro and Ugarte? You're saying more two defensive-minded midfielders. If you went with Bruno and Casemiro, obviously it's that balance, Ugarte and Bruno. Whatever, if it's definitely saying Bruno's definitely going to start, obviously, then you can have a more maybe an attacking midfield, an attacking threat if you take away either Casemiro or Ugarte. But if you're starting the two of them, you know you're kind of right. That's your protection in front of the centre backs, and it's that good base to build from. Or do you go more aggressive? And that's what might happen later on in the game. Bruno can drop back and you bring on another attack.
I think eventually you could do Bruno with somebody there.
Yeah.
I think at the moment we're not good enough, and we're not playing good enough to do that, and you have to have Ugarte and Casemiro, or whoever, but two sort of more defence-minded. I'm not saying Casemiro is, but he knows I still feel he's sometimes our best player attacking as well. With some of the balls that he sees and tries to play. I think when we start, if you can start dominating games and you're in a good flow, 4, 5, 6 games where you control, I think then you can change it. Because I do think then teams step back. At the moment, teams are still maybe coming at us a little bit. Thinking,
with big numbers.
Just thinking, okay, well, they're not playing too well. Let's not be afraid. Let's get into him. And that's when you change one of the defensive midfielders. I think there's too many gaps there then, and it doesn't really help. But you are right with the Bruno one. Eventually, when you start taking control, if that can happen of games, 4 or 5 games down the line, I think Bruno could sit there next to Casemiro or Ugarte and be comfortable, and still being able to play a little bit free. Because I think
it's making sure the spine, isn't it? If that spine is solid all the way through, then I think everything else floats in around it, and you can be.
So the defensive part at the moment has to be solid, and that's why I would always sort of say Ugarte, who for me has got better and better, and Casemiro, who's playing with them. Well, the most experienced in the team.
Just looking at defence now, seeing Harry Maguire out there is always a source of comfort, because he is such now an important player, isn't he? He's come through some hardships, of course. When we last played in the Europa League final and lost that unbelievable penalty shootout over in Gdansk, Harry missed that game, didn't he? He was struggling to get fit for it, and he had been an integral part of the team which got to the final, and it was largely kind of commented on that had Harry started, it might have been that extra nudge we needed to get over the line in the 90 or 120 minutes before we even got to a shootout. So to have him fit for the final, for the club, is great, and for him himself it's great, having missed that previous one.
Yeah, he deserves so much credit, Harry, because he faced so much criticism and it crossed the line in a big way on social media. It was disgusting, some of the stuff that he had to face, to be honest, and it was forgotten what a brilliant player he is, what a great footballer he is. He's an £80 million defender, let's not forget, and it wasn't like Manchester United were the only club who were willing to pay that when we got him. What happened with him was he lost his way, didn't he? He lost his confidence, and it's been brilliant to watch him rebuild that and get back to being a first-choice player for Manchester United again. He is still, a figurehead for this team as well. He might not be wearing the captain's armband anymore, but he's the biggest voice, one of the bigger ones certainly in the dressing room. Another one who leads by example, but also organises, gets people sorted. And I'm sure United would have won the Europa League last time around if Harry Maguire had been fit, because they would have put him on the right wing or up front and he would have got it sorted for him, I'm sure. He is. He's a big plus. And when you look out here now, when the players have been a bit closer to us, there's no Matthias de Ligt. So it looks increasingly unlikely that he's going to be fit enough to start the final or even appear at any point. Obviously, we've talked about Lenny Yoro already. Diogo Dalot, I saw earlier, was working on his own with a fitness coach. So I guess he's still giving it his all, as you'd expect from Diogo, to be available for that game. But having Harry there, fit, probably in the centre of the back three as well, sorting things out, can only be a good thing.
He's got a similar presence to you, Shazy. Probably even a bit taller. It is similar height.
So. I saw him the other night down at Sheffield United, so he is just a touch taller.
Of course, he went to
He went down to support. It tells you a lot about him as well.
Didn't he?
He doesn't forget his roots. He went down to show a bit of support. But listen, Harry deserves everything in terms of if United win this final, he will be a big part of it. That attacking threat you'll have, like we mentioned, but ultimately, just looking out there now, Sully, in terms of You see the amount of youngsters out there, the experience they're going to have as well the next, say, week, the build up to a final. Now, listen, not all of them will come through and be established players at United, but a good few will, and they will share the experience they're going to get the next week. I know the last couple of weeks, it's going to be amazing for them. Really is going to be amazing for them. That's something that the club are obviously really proud of, and that will continue. And
does that give you the building blocks to further your career if you just experience the build up to big matches? Seeing that group over the far side with Ethan Wheatley over there, Toby Collier back in training, which is good because he has been enjoying his breakthrough season. Harry Amas over there.
Johnny Evans as well.
yeah.
Very much at the start of his career. But no, it's good. They learn so much, don't they?
No, listen,
by just being in amongst the group alongside Johnny Evans and Casemiro and
it's
Bruno.
It's the mentality
and
they're witnessing. They're witnessing the mentality of players that have won major trophies consistently, and then they're seeing, okay, how do they work? How do they lead up to it? I know that everyone will have their own different preparation in terms of how they relax, how they switch off, but even if they pick up one or two little things that they take through the rest of their career, it's going to be incredible for them, Sully, and I think that's a huge thing that not only the club will benefit from, but the individuals will benefit from themselves.
Good to see Toby back though, Ian, isn't it, in training? He had been doing really well before his unfortunate injury.
Yeah, it's been a long route back for Toby, hasn't it? And when he has featured, actually, there's a player there, isn't there? Yeah. We've not seen masses of him, John, have we? But,
no.
You know, you look at those two holding midfielder roles that Amorim plays in this system, and you think he's got the right sort of attributes for that.
Totally, because I think it's the energy and impact that he can have. He gets up, he's aggressive, he can get up and down, you know, he can have that impact that you need. And listen, he gets across the ground really well, go side to side, no problem to him, the energy he has, and obviously he's got that bit of quality too. So hopefully now he's got a chance of being in the matchday squad, and let's wait and see, hopefully.
Can I ask you, Wes, as well? Sully was talking there about youngsters being involved in big European games. Obviously, you'd played during the treble season a fair bit, but what was it like going away on that final trip to Barcelona as one of the junior players in that squad?
Yeah, absolutely scary. You know, it's an experience. I mean, I think the first time you go, you don't really understand the importance of stuff. You know, you're just happy to be there, you're nervous, you probably know you're not playing, but at the same time, you go into bed thinking, well, am I going to be sore? What am I going to do? Yeah, you don't literally know anything, but I would point back to the fact that you don't actually know what could happen or what you're trying to achieve until you get a little bit older. So in that sense, I was okay, but obviously being there, realising how big it was, you know, talking to fans. I got a lot of the information of fans. You know, we've not done this since 1960. You know, the way they're talking, and obviously then they talk about the Rotterdam game with Hughesy. That's probably the first game I can remember from being a kid. But for the players, for the young players, it's just like, oh my God, I might be involved. It's like a dream come true. But you don't really understand what it means until you get a little bit older.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that these young players, as the groups have moved over towards us now,
they're not doing young v old, or maybe they are a little. I don't
know, it's a very young group in the middle here,
yeah.
Isn't it? And some more experience with Johnny and Luke, and
they kept a couple of youngsters to start in the middle.
Toby's gone in with them. Tyler Fredrickson there, and Patrick Dorgu, and Chido as well. I mean, Dorgu has come into the team from Serie A, and it's been a very quick adaptation for him. I know some say his form might have dipped in the last few games, but so much pressure and expectation on him, Shazy, when he comes straight into the team at such a young age still.
Totally. And listen, his experience he'll have had, whether it be good or bad, it's almost going to be invaluable for him. He will be a totally much better player next season because of it, I think. The confidence he'll have gained from knowing what the Premier League is all about. Obviously, he's done well in Europe as well, but that confidence he will have got, the know-how of, okay, the Premier League is a different animal to Serie A in terms of week in, week out. Yeah, there is big games in Serie A, but it's a different intensity in the Premier League, and he'll understand that now. Always go back to, obviously, Nemanja and Patrice, how long it took those boys to adapt.
Came good in the end,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Difficult window to arrive in the winter
totally,
one, isn't it?
Totally, exactly. And like we mentioned, it's been a difficult run in the Premier League, so you're coming into that as well.
Yeah.
So he'll be much better for next season without a doubt, and hopefully a couple of big games to go for him.
Yeah, sure will. It is really nice to see Johnny back out on the grass there, Wes. We know Johnny very well, and he would absolutely love to be able to get on the pitch another time for United before the end of the season. Of course, perhaps the Europa League, you would argue, is unlikely given his lack of football, but with the rotation of the team for the 2 Premier League matches, there's certainly a chance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the experience he has, and he'll just be wanting to be involved, and I hope he is.
Yeah.
He's on his last legs. He won't mind me saying that.
Harsh, that. Very harsh.
No, he's got 1 or 2 seasons left. But
You killed him.
No,
there,
you're
Wes.
right. You're right, Wes. You're right.
He'd say that to me, so don't worry. He'll be fine. But yeah, he'll.
Do you know what? He's a bit of a lucky charm in the finals. He was
Yes, I
involved
agree.
obviously against City. He was
And
involved
like I
against,
said, if needed, Johnny will turn up.
Yeah.
And that's what he's always brought in. Been very unlucky with the injuries he's had this season. But like you said, you see him here now. He'll be delighted that they're in the final. He'll just be enjoying it. Hopefully, you never know, he might make sub. You just never know. You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
It's probably worth having just to be an influence around the dressing room.
Well, listen,
You'd want him in the squad,
if
wouldn't
Lenny
you?
Yoro doesn't make it, if Matthijs de Ligt is out, you know what I mean? You're going to need that cover. And listen, if he can prove his fitness over the next week, as you mentioned, whether it could be a little run out against Chelsea, is it or not, or is he ready for that yet? Listen, you don't know.
But regardless, listen, I can tell you now, the manager will be more than happy that he's here.
Exactly.
And he's training, and he's we'll be travelling if fit. So, and on a personal note to him, if he does get on, like I said, he'll be absolutely fine. And that's just a weird thing. Johnny will have the experience to understand this one game. And it's probably the biggest game that the club have had in years. We've been in cup finals, but you're talking about a European Cup, which will be watched, all over the world.
It's a shame actually the players weren't closer earlier on, because we've not really had the chance to show off these Meta glasses powered by Snapdragon. So normally we give you some POVs up close when the players come over and chat, particularly when they've got Wes and Shady next to me.
They're always on the pitch. Go on, sorry.
They'll always I go and have a kick.
Go.
Does it not make you want to get out there, Shady, when you see him doing this?
Yeah, listen, the boxes especially. Wes used to spend a lot of time in the middle.
I knew he was going to say that. That is a lie.
Because it's true, obviously.
That is a lie. I used to start in a box.
That's why his tackling was so good, sonny. He was in the middle a lot. He used to smash people and get upset. Listen, it's a great little kind of relaxed moment before the coaches kind of get involved with it. A bit more serious stuff in terms of bigger possessions maybe, but nice little rondo, get everyone smiling, enjoying it, unless you're running around in the middle like Wesley.
He's sticking up for Johnny there. He's Irish, isn't it?
Yeah, of
I know
course.
he's Northern and Republic, but he's sticking up for his
One
mate.
Ireland. Wes.
Yeah. You get yourself in trouble there, Wes, with what you're saying. But yeah, we're coming towards the end of the session, which is live and open. So for you, Ian, I've got 15, 20 minutes or so, but what would be your takeaways as a journalist when you're looking on the session?
From what we've seen so far, I mean, it seems like the spirits are good, which is not a given. I've been to open training sessions at numerous clubs down the years, and you're there after 2 or 3 minutes and you're sensing, people haven't got smiles on their faces, they're not enjoying it. You look around the group, the 3 groups that we've got in front of us now, everyone's got a smile on their face, everyone's enjoying it. You understand the dynamics between them. There's a bit of healthy rivalry about who's in the middle, who's the Wes Brown of this particular squad.
He's actually, I'll defend him a little bit. He was decent in the box.
That's the main takeaway for me, is that the spirit seems good, and you hope that's a belief that they can get the job done in the final. There's Chelsea to get through first, like we've been saying, but and even if Lenny Yoro and Matthijs de Ligt and Diogo Dalot aren't fit, we've not mentioned Joshua Zirkzee either, who was on social media the other day to say he was trying to get back fit for the final. Whether that can become true or not, I don't know. But
Like I said, everyone tries to get fit for the final. Suddenly everyone's available.
Listen, it's weird, just looking out there, because you think of all of it. Cobby's going to be right in the mix to start in this one. You know what I mean? In terms of what an attacking threat he
But
could
again,
be
the
for
question
team
with
as
him
well,
is
you know what I
where's
mean?
his best position in this formation? What do you think?
Listen, at the minute, I think the manager sees him in that more attacking role. So that's one of the 10s, obviously. But I think in time, because he's such a good football brain, he'll be able to adapt to a couple of positions, so no problem. And once the manager's getting his ideas across in terms of if he is one of the 6s, what he has to do, what he has to work on pre-season, aerobically, what he might have to change a little bit. Can he adapt that to his game? He's a fantastic player, and what an option to have for the final as well.
What do you think, Wes, in terms of him long term, where he will find himself on the pitch?
Like I said, I do feel he's got more attributes and better going forward. And at the moment, because the team hasn't been doing so well, you know, we have to think a little bit defensive minded, and that's as simple as that. Listen, Cobby can do it. Technically, you couldn't put him past maybe the best technical player. I'm talking about his touch, his ability to control, his finesse, you know, the time he has in the box where he allows himself to get the shot off. You know, because we've played, it's very hard things to do. He doesn't panic. You know, he knows what he wants to do with it. And if we're being honest, he hasn't had enough football this year, so he would have still loved to have played a lot more. And you know, I'm pretty sure the manager would have had chats with him. But listen, he'll want to play in the final. Whether he does or not, I'm not sure. But he will, you know, when he gets on that pitch, he'll be showing the manager everything he can do every time. And listen, look at the goal he scored. I put that as my favourite goal. The goal he scored against Bilbao, just to get us back in. I've not felt like that for a while. And
The Lyon one, you mean?
Sorry, Lyon.
Lyon, yeah.
I've not felt like that for a while.
Yeah.
The last time was probably Ahmad, Liverpool, at home. But
The 4-3.
You don't get them every week, do you?
No.
Do you know what I mean? So just to get back into the game,
Composure, wasn't it?
yeah, everything, no panic. And like we said, if he would have played more, we would have seen. You know, I think he'd been better and better this season.
Strength and conditioning coach here, Michael Clegg, coming over for a quick word with his former teammates.
You good?
How you doing? You all right? All set? Yeah, he's all set.
He's all set. He's all set.
Smiles all round Cleggy out here.
Lovely day.
Little course session. We did a little bit of a prep, and now the boys are in the boxes getting ready for the technical work. I'm back in the gym now working with some of the injured players, so I'll leave you boys to it.
Nice
Speak to you soon.
Thanks,
Good
Dave.
to
Thank you,
see
Cleggy. Nice to see you, Pat.
Listen,
Yeah.
just at a quick count,
I
I think
just-
30 players. 30
just
players
so you know.
managers there got
30.
training today.
Yeah. Just so you know, I used to clean Michael Clegg's boots. There you go.
No, so yeah.
Didn't know that, so did you?
Apprentices don't do that these days, do they? I was going to ask about the hardest decision Ruben has to make. Now, you mentioned the number of players, Shazy. One thing he's got to do is tell certain players they're not in the matchday squad for the final. There's a lot of young players here, so you can have an idea of who might not make it, but then also having that conversation with people who starts and who doesn't and why.
Listen, ideally, you'd be hoping that the team will pick itself as such nearly if everyone's fit in terms of the semi-final lineups. Then you have obviously the lads that have been coming back, showing good signs of fitness, showing good signs of form, and then ultimately you could have one or two younger players who might get that benefit of whether it is a late injury or whether it is a more experienced player coming back. And the manager would be more than comfortable in dealing with that. He's done it already in his young career in terms of being a Sporting Lisbon, being successful there, had to make tough decisions, and hopefully he'll have a lot more tough decisions to make in terms of United improving on, obviously, this season in terms of the league, but in particular for a final, you want to see the club keep. It's amazing the last few seasons being getting to finals, so keep that going.
It's not easy for a player to take, I imagine, Wes. I've never been in the position you two have, Ian and I have in any way, where you're in a pool of elite players and someone's got to miss out.
Yeah,
What's the conversation like?
Yeah, listen, you sort of know if you're being honest, or you know it could happen. I think if you've been regular in the team, it's not a problem. You know, it doesn't really come to your thoughts. But when you've not, I mean, there was a couple of Champions Leagues where I wasn't fit all season, maybe come back near the end. Because I was the age I was, I knew I wasn't going to get selected, because, you know, you honour the lads that have got you there and done really well. You know, they deserve to do it.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to to obviously be involved in 4 and won 2. So I can take that. But yeah,
I missed that.
a couple of times I wasn't, especially late on in my United career, I was picking up injuries here and there, and it just wasn't. You just knew you weren't going to get in, even if fit, because the lads that got you there played all season, and you respect that. And I think for the older lads, afterwards it might hurt a little bit if that's the case, because you feel it's maybe your only chance or a chance to play in one. Obviously, a couple of lads have, but for the younger lads, it's all about the experience.
I think it's one of them as well. It's that balance. The manager has to know and trust that if he is going to bring someone on, that the fitness-wise, that it's not too much of a gamble. I suppose you can have 1 or 2 on the bench where you're thinking, right, I can take a risk here with this one because I've got X, Y, and Z as cover, or a different option. And maybe it's a bit of an X-factor one that you have to take a bit of a risk on. And that's always a balance. But in general, it'll be that trust that the manager will see and have in the players to make sure they can survive.
And then sometimes, Phil, as well, I'm pretty sure, if I look back at 99, if Scholes and Keano weren't suspended, would have I been sub? Probably not.
You wouldn't have even been on the bench, maybe,
That's my point. So sometimes it's you get a little bit of luck, and it's
sliding doors moment,
ask for it, but that's what happens.
I know that Sir Alex is some of his toughest decisions when you guys were in the team is who to leave out, notably Ji-sung Park in that Champions League final. Even go back to Brian McLaren, an FA Cup final in the mid to early 90s, leaving him out when you had less subs, couldn't even be on the bench, things like this.
I don't think Dimitar Berbatov made the squad for one of the Champions League finals.
He wasn't happy, Wesley, was he? No.
Yeah, we had an embarrassment.
Not that you would be happy,
front.
but Barbara was in.
Tell us more, John.
One day.
One day. When's the book out?
Yeah, you're not going to be happy as a player being left out. Hell, Ian, you and I on Sunday League, you don't accept being on the bench very
I remember playing the media game at Old Trafford last season and being absolutely furious that I had to start on the bench. Then came on and pulled my groin after about 10 seconds and realised it was probably the best place for me.
That was the right decision then.
Going back to the team, we mentioned at the very start of this, it looked like he'd found something in those 2 teams that started against Athletic Club. The relationship between the players, people in settled positions, and I think it's going to take something very specific, whether it be an injury, whether it be a certain tactical idea maybe that he sees in the Spurs setup to change that, because it feels like he trusts that lineup more than anyone else. That's not in terms of their quality or the personality, but also it's their fitness. They're the lads who have been available the last few weeks. They're the ones who've got you to the final. So to me, I think it would take something extra special for him to break that up and bring someone else in. Maybe Lenny Yoro's injury is the thing that changes things, but, let's see.
Listen, I think you're spot on. The only thing will be, in a strange kind of way, you're exactly right. I think he might end up possibly then, in a good way, having a stronger team to finish with. And that's obviously a pleasing aspect to have when you think of if it is Ahmed, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount potentially coming on later on in the game. You possibly have yourself with a stronger finishing team even. So a nice problem for the coach to have.
Yeah, it's a great build up to the final now. I know we've got Chelsea in the Premier League first, and I'm sure the lads will take that ultra seriously. And of course, we'll go to Stamford Bridge desperate to try and win the 3 points. But the build-up really, we're in the middle of it now. There's a media day today. You'll be able to follow that on the Manchester United app as we continue the build-up to the final. But everybody is now at least got one eye on the final, Wes, and it will be a really exciting build-up to what is such an important match for this club.
It will do. For the players, it'll be a little bit different to the fans. But I'm a fan. We're already speaking about it. How many calls yesterday did they have on it? 10. Just off subject to what you do for the final, where you go in, I'm trying to get a ticket, blah blah blah. That's how this next week's going to go. Simple as that. Not many people are talking about the Chelsea game, but for these lads, it's all about. Listen, remember when you was a kid and you're trying to play in these European Cup finals, you wanted to be a part of it. Have fun. They're there for a reason, and that's what you've got to think about to try and calm the nerves a little bit. But what a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, there's a press conference today actually. You can join it live from 4:30. Hear from Ruben, Amorim, yourselves there, and we're all going to be fascinated to see what is said and how he answers Ian. So it should be a really interesting press conference.
Yeah, it will be, definitely. Like I said before, to understand how he's feeling a few days on from what was pretty much the angriest I think I've seen him since he's been here at Manchester United, and what reaction that brings. Obviously, there's the Chelsea game, like we say, first, and they have to try and get something out of that match, you know, whatever it is, to try and build positively towards Bilbao. Because they have to make sure that they're in exactly the right frame of mind for that game, and you don't want any more injuries, you don't want any more fitness concerns ahead of next Wednesday, and maybe Ruben will give us a bit of a clue later as to what his thoughts are about how he manages these next two fixtures.
Okay, yeah, we're just about to wrap things up. Lads are going to go and do their work off camera now. So, as I said, press conference at 4:30. Make sure you join us when we hear from Ruben. Thanks to Wes and Shady, to Ian as well. And we'll see you for the press conference. Bye from Carrington.